Welcome to the Altenew Educators video hop, and this hop is all about background techniques. Altenew hosts these quarterly hops for us educators so we can share wonderful inspirations and techniques with you all. And you get a chance to win some fabulous prizes. I will tell you more about it later on in the video. I also have the hop list listed in the video description below. In the meantime, here's a sneak peek of the technique I will be showing you. This die-cut inlay technique is perfect for creating multiples and mass-producing cards. Hi, this is Anna of Crafty Anna Studio. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I post card making and paper crafting tutorials. But before I get into it, here are examples of stamp and die sets that work well with this technique. You may have them or something similar in your stash. This is Oriental Poppy. It has big, bold outlines of poppy flowers and comes with coordinating dies. This one is called Hello Beautiful. This set has big outline images that fill up a whole card. It also comes with coordinating dies. This is the Wallpaper Stamp and Die set, one of my favorites. You can see I made a template here. If you don't have big outline stamps, you can combine two sets like this one, the Rainforest Leaves and Midnight Moths, which I will show you much later in this video. So for the first set of cards, I will use this Hello Beautiful stamp set, green and peach cardstock, and this rose gold embossing powder. First, let's make a template of the background design. I have here plain copy paper cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I place it in the middle of my stamp wheel platform. You can use whatever stamp platform tool you may have. I take the stamps out of the packaging and start laying them out on the paper. I start with the largest floral cluster, and then I add the smaller ones. I try to fill up the front as much as possible. I just love how these floral stamps fit so well together, just like a puzzle. I take the clear plate, place it on top, then line it up in the corners, and then press down the middle to pick up the stamps. I flip it over, lock it into place, and then I take some ink and apply ink generously over the top. I'm using just plain ink, black ink here. You can use any color of ink as long as it's visible, as this is only a template. I flip it back, then lock it into place, and then I press down to make sure that the ink is distributed evenly over the surface. This template will serve as a guide for future projects. So if I want to make the same design over and over, I simply take the template, put it in the middle of my stamp wheel, then take the stamps and then line it up with the inked images. It doesn't have to be perfectly lined up. The template is just a guide. You can even make small adjustments here and there if you feel that it doesn't fill up the page well enough. So then I take the flip plate, press it down onto the stamps to pick it up, and then now it's ready for use. I take the peach cardstock panel, and before I place it on the stamp wheel, I'm going to treat it with some anti-static powder. I don't do this on the stamp wheel because I don't want to get the powder all over the sticky mat. And then I line it up with the markings that I made on the stamp wheel platform. I take the plate, place it on top, then I'll ink it up generously with Versamark ink. Then flip the plate over, lock it in place, and then press firmly to make sure that the sticky ink is evenly distributed all over the panel. I peel off the cardstock from the stamp mat, and then I'm going to sprinkle it generously with gold embossing powder. I will tap off the excess powder and then I'll set it aside while I work on the green cardstock panel. I will do the same here. I'll apply anti-static powder onto the cardstock panel and then line it up with the markings that I had put on the stamp wheel mat, and then I will ink it up with Versamark ink once again, stamp it onto the cardstock panel, add rose gold embossing powder, and then I will heat set it using a heat tool until the powder is shiny and melted. I will take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the video hop. After my video, go down to the description box and click on the link to the next in line. Altenew will be giving away gift certificates to their online store to lucky winners. All you have to do is comment on each stop on the hop to enter. Liking and subscribing is also very much appreciated, but not necessary. Now back to the video. I take the heat gun to the paper and start heating it up from the back before moving to the front. This just helps in keeping the embossing powder from flying all over the place. I heat emboss all the time. The way the powder melts and gets all shiny never gets old for me. So now I will die cut the heat embossed images with coordinating dies. I also prepared plain copy paper cut to the same size as the panels to use later on. I also keep a bowl handy on the side to catch all the die cut pieces. I start with the largest image, take the coordinating die, tape it down with washi, then I will die cut it off camera on a die cutting machine. I make sure I keep all the little pieces that fall out and place it into this bowl. Then I will die cut the rest off camera. Now that I've die cut all the images, it's time for the fun part. If you enjoy puzzles, you will enjoy this process. I will start with the largest piece. So I'm going to adhere it on the topmost part of the copy paper that I had set aside a little earlier. I'll add a generous amount of glue at the back, and then I will lay it down, carefully aligning it on the edge. Then I will take the peach piece and carefully insert it on the bottom part of the largest cluster, sort of like piecing a puzzle. I will just lay glue down on the edges near the leaves and then we'll lay it down flat. If you notice, I'm not gluing the whole piece. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want that little wiggle room when I start putting the other pieces together. I will then add more glue to the opening on the other corner. Then I will take that green floral piece and insert it just like a puzzle. I will continue to do this until the quote-unquote puzzle pieces are in place. So you can see here how I move things around to make sure that all the pieces fit perfectly together. Once all the big images are in place, I will set it aside and then work on the reverse. So this time I'm taking the peach images, this biggest floral cluster, and then I will place it on the upper half of the panel and repeat the process. Then with a jewel picker and some glue, I'm going to continue paper piecing the background of this panel. Okay, that was fun, at least for me. Now I'm going to trim off about 1/8 of an inch on all sides of this die cut inlaid panel. Now I'm going to add a sentiment, but before that I'm going to do a little more trimming. So I'm going to take the panel, and on the bottom part I'm going to trim off 1 inch from the bottom, and then I'm going to put it back in the trimmer and then cut again 3/4 of an inch. I'll do the same for the other panel. First 1 inch and then 3/4 of an inch. Then I will take another panel of peach cardstock. This one will serve as part of the background, and use that as a guide. I will piece back together the inlaid panel with some washi tape. Then I will flip it over and remove the 3/4 inch strip and replace it with a strip of acetate. This one is about 1 1/4 inch wide, and the length is a little over 4.5. I'll add some glue and adhere the acetate on top of the opening. Then I will trim off the excess acetate hanging off the side. Next, I will remove the washi tape. I will flip the panel over and then add some instant dimensional tape in the back. Then I will adhere it on top of the peach cardstock panel. Now in hindsight, I wish I had used the green one for more contrast. But, oh well, maybe next time. I remove the backing of the instant dimensional tape, and then using the edge of the cardstock panel, I will slowly adhere it on top. For the sentiment, I'll be using this Hello Hug stamp and die set. I die cut the hello 3 times, but left the third hello still stuck to the paper. I will add glue to all the letters and then carefully lay the other hello on top. Keeping the die cuts in its little nest makes it a little easier to stack several, one on top of each other, for that extra dimension. After it's all stuck securely together, I carefully remove it and use a craft pick to poke out the middles of the O, E, and H. Next, I will heat emboss the sentiment with rose gold embossing powder. So I take some temporary tape and run it over the strip of cardstock to secure the die cut on top. Then I apply a generous amount of Versamark ink on the die cut. I then sprinkle it with embossing powder, then heat set it. I will repeat the process one more time for a smoother, shinier effect. I add thin beads of glue to the back of the Hello die cut, and then I'll adhere it on the right side of the opening strip. Off camera, I heat emboss the sentiment "My Sweet Friend" on peach cardstock. This is also from the Hello Hug stamp set, and then I place it on the bottom right of the die cut sentiment. Here are the finished set of cards. I added gold baubles above and below the hello. I did the same for this one, but I also added a vellum shadow behind the Hello die cut to make it stand out a little. Now let's apply the same techniques to make a set of 4 cards. The inlay technique for these cards are basically the same, but there's a difference in the assembly. Off camera, I created a template using the stamps from the Rainforest Leaves and Midnight Moth stamp set. Here I am laying down the stamp using the template as a guide. This moth is facing the same direction as this one, so I will shift his position a little bit. Now after laying down the moth stamps, I will now position all the leaf stamps. Once all the stamps are in position, I will lay down the plate on top, press it down firmly to pick up the stamps. I'll be using 4 colors of cardstock: green, orange, aqua, and purple. I'll take the purple cardstock and lay it down in the middle of the stamp wheel. I'll add some anti-static powder, then I will ink up the stamp with Versamark ink. This time, I'm going to heat emboss it with crisp white embossing powder. Then I will heat set it with a heat gun. Then I will do the same for the other cardstock panels. Once all the panels are heat embossed, I will use the coordinating dies to die cut the moths. I will not be die cutting the leaves for these set of cards. Now for the fun part, we're going to inlay all the moths in each panel. So for this one, I'm going to inlay different colors of moths. So I have the green, the blue, the purple, and I'm just duplicating the blue for this one. I'm going to secure it with washi, and then I'm going to flip the panel over, and I'm going to use double-sided tape to secure all the die cuts together. I ran out of the Altenew adhesive sheets, but if you happen to have that in your stash, this is just the perfect technique to use it for. I will trim off the excess hanging off the side. Then I will peel off the backing paper, then I'll adhere it to a piece of copy paper cut to the same size. Then I will remove the washi, trim the sides, and then add it to a card base, and then finally put a sentiment on it. I hope my video inspired you to give this technique a try. If you're interested in any of the products I used, please check the video description below. And while you are down there, don't forget to click on the link to the next person on the hub. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye!